Tantia Tope, the great commander who upheld the British. Tantia Tope was one of the most instrumental leaders in the Indian Mutiny of 1857. A fierce commander, he was an effective rebel general. He stood adamantly against the British and horrified them. He gave the British a harrowing period, withstanding and strongly resisting the outrageous rule of the British Raj. His achievements prove that he was not a man of ordinary ability. He, indeed, is the guerrilla hero of India who unnerved the British. The revolt of 1857 was one of the most dramatic movements in the conflict against British domination. During the Indian Rebellion of 1857, Tantia Tope was a supporter of Nana Sahib, a rebel Indian chief. He made the East India Company's Indian troops stationed at Kanpur, created the authority of Nana Sahib, and became the commander-in-chief of his revolutionary forces as the political storm intensified in the nation. Formative years. Ramachandra Panduranga was born on February 16, 1814 in the village of Yola in Maharashtra and was the son of Pandurang Rao Tope, an important noble in the court of Maratha Peshwa Baji Rao II. His name is Tantia, which means general. He took the title Tope, which means commander, probably derived from Tope, the Hindi word for cannon or artillery. Tope was a Maratha Vasisht Brahmin by birth. He is distinguished as a man of medium height, with white skin and always wearing a white chakridar turban. His father moved his family from the unfortunate Peshwa to Bithur, where his son became the closest friend of the adopted Peshwa, Nana Dhondu Pant and Maharaja Madhav Singh Ji. In 1851, when Lord Dalhousie stripped Nana Sahib's father's pension, Tantia Tope also became an arch enemy of the British. Role in Indian Mutiny of 1857. Initial engagement. After the outbreak of the rebellion in Kanpur on June 5, 1857, Nana Sahib became the leader of the rebellion. When British forces at Kanpur surrendered on June 25, 1857, Nana was proclaimed Peshwa in late June. General Havelock twice faced Nana's forces in battle before being finally defeated in battle. After the defeat, Nana had to retreat to Bithur, after which Havelock crossed the Ganges and retreated to Awadh. Tantia Tope began to act as Bithur's Nana Sahib. Tantia Tope was one of the leaders of the Kanpur massacre, which took place on June 27, 1857. The siege of Kanpur was an important episode in the Indian uprising of 1857. Company forces and civilians besieged in Kanpur were unprepared for an early siege, apparently surrendering to the rebel forces under Nana Sahib in exchange for a safe escape to Allahabad. However, their evacuation from Kanpur turned into a massacre, and most of the men were killed. As a relief force from the Allahabad, East India Company approached Kanpur. 120 British women and children captured by sepoys were killed in the Bibigarh massacre. Their remains were thrown into a nearby well in the attempt to conceal evidence. Following the recapture of Kanpur and the discovery of the massacre, angry company forces engaged in widespread retaliation against captured rebel soldiers and local civilians. Thereafter, Tantia Tope maintained a good defensive position until he was driven out by British forces led by Sir Henry Havelock on July 16, 1857. He then defeated General Windham at the Second Battle of Kanpur, which began on November 19, 1857, and continued for 17 days. Tope and his army were defeated when the British counterattacked under Sir Colin Campbell. Tope and other rebels fled the scene and had to take refuge with Rani of Jhansi while they assisted her. Progress. Later, Tantia Tope and Rao Sahib, the grandson of Nana Sahib, after assisting Jhansi in the victorious British attack, helped Rani Lakshmibai escape the attack. Together with Rani Lakshmibai, they controlled the fort of Gwalior, claiming Hindvi Swaraj. under the name of Nana Sahib Peshwa of Gwalior. After losing Gwalior to the British, Tope and Rao Sahib fled to Rajputana. He managed to convince Tonk's army to join him. However, Tope was unable to enter the city of Bundi, and while he announced that he was going south, he headed west and moved towards Neemuch. A British column commanded by Colonel Holmes was pursuing him, while the British commander in Rajputana, General Abraham Robert, managed to attack the rebel force as they reached positions between Sanganer and Bhilwara. Tope escaped again to Udaipur and, after visiting a Hindu temple on 13 August, deployed his forces on the Banas River. They were again defeated by Robert's forces and Tope fled again. He crossed the Chambal River and reached the city of Jhalarapatan. Continued resistance. The guerrilla hero. Even after the rebellion of 1857 was quelled by the British, Tantia Tope continued his resistance as a guerrilla in the jungle. He caused the state forces to rebel against the Raj and was able to replace the ordnance he had lost in the Banas River. Tope then led his forces towards Indore but was sought by the British, who were now commanded by General John Michel, and he fled to Sironj. Tope, along with Rao Sahib, decided to split their combined force so that they could reach Chanderi with a greater force, and Rao Sahib, on the other hand, with a lesser force towards Jhansi. However, they reunited again in October and suffered another defeat in Chota Udaipur. In January 1859, they reached the state of Jaipur and suffered 2 more defeats. Then, Tope escaped alone into the jungle of Peron. At this point, he met Man Singh, Raja of Narwar, and his family and decided to stay with him at his court. Man Singh was in dispute with Maharaja of Gwalior, while the British tried to negotiate with him to deliver Tope to them in exchange for his life and protection of his family from possible Maharaja's revenge. After this event, Tope was handed over to the British and had to face his fate at the hands of the British. Execution. Tantia Tope was betrayed into the hands of the British by his trusted friend Man Singh, chief of Narwar. While asleep in his camp in the Peron forest, he admitted the allegations that were presented to him, but noted that he could only be held accountable to his emperor, Peshwa. He was executed on the gallows on April 18, 1859 in Shivpuri. There is a statue of Tantia Tope at the location of his execution near the existing collectorate in Shivpuri city in Madhya Pradesh. Interesting facts. Tantia's childhood playmate was Rani Lakshmibai of Jhansi. When she was killed by a sword, he cremated her body and performed the final rituals. During his lifetime, he fought 150 battles against the British and killed 10,000 British soldiers. Conclusion. The Sepoy Mutiny of 1857, which shook the foundations of British domination in the Indian subcontinent, featured the contribution and courage of eminent leaders. Tantia Tope's performance was greatly appreciated, and he will be remembered for his indomitable courage and love for his country. Although he had no established military training, he was truly tremendous and significant during the revolt. His fierce patriotism is truly inspiring.